Hey everybody, good morning. It is Tuesday morning and I wanted to give you a review of what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and then at the end I'll let you know what challenge I'm challenging myself for the month of October, because I gotta have another challenge, right? All right, this challenge was following the Carbohydrate Addicts Diet. And it's from the late 80s, early 90s, and it worked for me when I was back in my 20s. Now I'm postmenopause, and I thought, I don't know if this is going to work the same. I am letting you know right now after 2 weeks, first of all, I'll cut to the chase and tell you I am not doing it anymore. But I'll tell you why. All right, I've got some pros and cons, but first let me tell you what I was doing in case you missed it. Basically, the basic tenets of the diet is I called it 3/4 low carb because I'd have 2 meals, breakfast and lunch was low carb. I really didn't have snacks. And then at dinner time, I would have, you're allowed to have anything you want if it's within 60 minutes, right? And then after that, that's it. So that's what I was doing. Although the dinner meal, I was trying to stay somewhat healthy minded, but you know, when you don't have carbs all day and you're going, oh, I can have, you hear those words, I can have anything I want within 60 minutes. Certain things do creep into that 60 minutes. So let's get into the pros and the cons. All right, a pro is that when I ate a meal, I tended to want to eat less. And I think that was because I didn't have like a lot of sugar and carbs and things like that kind of feeding me to continue eating, right? It was a low carb meal, and it would shut my hunger off, and I could go between meals without even really thinking about food. And I thought that was a real good pro. Now, that's also happened eating other ways as well, but with this one, it also happened. Right. Okay, a con would be I was missing my oats in the morning. I'm a big oatmeal girl, and I usually start my morning with a big bowl of oatmeal, and I was really missing that. Another con is that I found myself relying more on eggs for breakfast, like almost every morning in different forms, right? Whether I was making a crepe out of it, whether I made a sweet potato pancakes out of it, whether it was an omelet, there was always eggs involved, and it was very hard to find things that didn't involve eggs. Now, I have to remember I have hypercholesterolemia. I was born with high cholesterol, and I'm tended to not just high cholesterol, but like marvelously high cholesterol. So when my cholesterol is high, it's crazy. And when I'm talking, like, I can get up to past 400 and if I'm high. And so I have to watch that. And I know I can go to egg whites, but sometimes you get tired of them, right? Okay, another con was that, my fiber count was low. I would try to get it up through veggies during the day and then get in as much as I could in the evening during my evening meal. But the thing is that I have been building up my fiber, taking probiotics, really taking care of my gut over this last year, and I did a marvelous job, and I felt like I was taking a little bit of a step back from that. So I'm not really happy about that, because now I feel like I have to kind of work on it a little bit more again. But it was a learning experience. Oh, another thing is that in the evening meal, I felt like since I could eat anything, okay, let me get cram as much carb as I can. Oftentimes I would just have a big bowl of oatmeal in the evening. But I felt like I better eat as much of this as I can now, because I won't be able to have carbs again for 24 hours. And I want to make sure I get enough fiber. And so I would push it, and then I would not feel comfortable. A pro can be that it was very simple and repetitive, so I didn't really have to worry about preparing a lot of things. I could just grab hard-boiled egg, cheese stick, cream cheese, and throw it in a slice of turkey breast and have some celery or something. And so that was really quick, right? A con would be that it was simple and repetitive because I just found myself really struggling to think out of the box on this. And I think, the low carb diet works for so many people. And I think they spend a lot of time being real creative. And I don't suppose that 2 weeks is probably a lot of time to do that. But I tried, and I just like to be more creative with carbs, I think. All right, a pro would be, yes, let's see, I had less sugar, right, overall. except for sugar-free stuff. But a con would be, I found myself maybe leaning toward more sugar-free stuff, and I think that can really hurt your gut flora. And again, it's something that I really work hard on. And so I'm not okay with that. And I've made the decision to kind of like, although I still have sugar-free things, I'm trying to maybe take more of those things out of my diet now, especially during this month. Okay, a pro would be I was free from preparing carbs as often, because carbohydrate foods very often have to be cooked, like rice and spaghetti and potatoes and things like that. A con would be that I started to feel it was kind of restrictive, and it started to me, for myself, not for other people, but for myself, I felt like it was becoming more of an extreme way of eating, and I didn't really like that, right? And it does to me because I love carbs so much. There was this one day that we did eat somewhere else, and I was trying to stay within a certain realm of carbs. I was looking for like whole food carbs to put into that meal, but there weren't a whole lot of those available. So what I ended up doing was having a little bit and then waiting like the next 24 hours till I could have those carbs. So that left me like 48 hours without, you know, a lot of that, like oats and things like that. And I essentially went low carb for 48 hours, and I found myself kind of jonesing by the end of that time, and I was getting a little irritated, having less patience with the kids. And at one point my husband said, "How long are you doing this for?" So that tells me I need to watch it. It was adversely affecting me in some way. I started getting into the frame of mind that I wasn't going to have carbs for, you know, until the dinner, or I wasn't going to have it till after that dinner. I wasn't going to have it till the next day at dinner. And so I started to develop this anxiety of when I was going to have them next. And I didn't like that. I didn't like, you know, starting to have an anxiety about anything that had to do with food. All right, a pro is that it helped me to introduce breakfast other than oatmeal, and maybe adding some protein or something like that. A con is that now I didn't have the oatmeal, right? So it's like the grass is always greener over there. I also found, and this was a biggie to me, because I am on Weight Watchers Purple, which I stayed on throughout this challenge because I wanted to see what it looked like in terms of points. I get 16 points per day on my purple plan on Weight Watchers, and so which I did simultaneously, and I really found myself struggling to stay within those points because the low carb foods are higher in points, and they would eat up my points. And then by the end of the day, you know, here I'm supposed to have anything I want at dinner during 60 minutes, but I only have 5 points left to do it in. So I end up dipping into those weeklies and really having, you know, my weekend points and this and that, just trying to eat a regular day of worth of food. And I just found that to be kind of like, I don't see how I'm going to lose weight, you know, in all of this. At the beginning, I did lose a little bit, and I think that was mostly water. It helped me to fit into a shirt that I hadn't in a long time, but then it tapered out and went up and down, and so over the course, averaged out, I only lost 2 pounds during the last 2 weeks, which again, yeah, it's not so bad, but I mean, I could lose that overnight with water. So I don't really know what that is. I did find myself having, you know, if I had more salads, that would help to take up more room. But the salads were different because I couldn't add the carbohydrate-rich foods to my salad. I couldn't add nuts. I was really trying to stick with the plan the way that they talk about it in the book. So I didn't add the nuts because carbohydrates or nuts are both carb and fat. And at the same time, I couldn't add apples for crunch, or blueberries or strawberries, or the things that I usually like to throw in a salad, because those were higher in carb. Now, I can have those things at the dinner meal, but what ended up happening was that I would make a meal for my family, and then of course I didn't want to waste it, so I would have the meal that they were having, and that didn't necessarily include all the things that I planned to fit into that dinner, which were, you know, bananas, apples, beans, and potatoes were the things that I was really missing. And I found out those particular things over 2 weeks, I probably had like once, right? And that to me is just incredible. I just can't see living like that for me, because I love carbs and I love those particular foods. And whatever I'm doing, I want to make sure that I work those in somehow. So overall, that's why I am not doing it anymore. I find that I have more cons than pros. Again, that's for me. It might work for somebody else. Don't know if I'll ever do this again. But it was fun to revisit it and see, oh, okay, maybe this is why I quit way back then. Maybe that's why I didn't do it anymore. Okay, so for the month of October, real quick, and I will be showing you what I have in a day. I'm going to be doing this for a lot longer than the 2 weeks of low carb, is I'm going to be doing the starch solution. And I'm going to be doing the 50-50 plate mostly. So that is Dr. McDougall's book. I have done that before. I did that, and it's a long story. I did that before and I quit. I had a little trouble with my hypercholesterolemia. We'll talk about it another time, but I feel safe enough to go ahead and try it again. So the 50-50 plate is basically to have 50% of the whole grains and whole foods like potatoes and things like that. So it's going to be a starch. And then the other 50% is going to be greens and non-starchy vegetables. And I have been doing that over the last 2 days. I'm already down like 1.4 pounds. And I feel really good. I feel like my inflammation's coming down. I feel wonderful, and I can have oats again, and I can have potatoes and rice, and I'm having a fun time. I can have apples and bananas and beans, so I'm thrilled about that. And I'm not having any fat right now because I am thinking I want to be in weight loss mode, and once I get down further and I feel comfortable, I'll add those fats in. I know healthy fats are very important, and I will add them in when I'm comfortable. But right now, I have unhealthy fat on my body, and I need to get as much of that off as possible. So I want to concentrate on doing that. In the next video, I will show you what I'm having to do that. All right, guys, I love you a lot. Thanks for hanging in there with me, and ask me any questions below that you want. Of course, if you want to do this challenge with me, feel free. If not, I hope you'll come along and watch. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe so we can go through this journey together. All right, guys, I will see you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday.